Hello, this is a video tutorial for compiling the SDL2 front end of Angband using its latest code and compiling it with the MSys2 build environment. Now you start off by downloading MSys2 from the website, or from their GitHub repository specifically, which is github.com/msys2/msys2-installer/releases. And what you're looking for is there's a list of assets in the latest release, which is currently from mid-January. And the file that you want is the one that ends with sfx.exe. I think that must stand for self-extracting executable. That's what you want to download. It's 47.3, current one, the one from mid-January is 47.3 megabytes, not too big. So be warned that when you double click this, it will just extract into a new folder inside the directory that you've downloaded it to. So just be aware that it's just gonna pop its stuff right in there. Here we go. You can see it's made this MSys64 folder. And there's the stuff. I'm going to put this in the place where I prefer to run my stuff that I have downloaded. I'm not putting this in, say, program files or something, because then Windows might complain about me moving files around if you're in an official Windows directory structure. So I've got my own separate thing. Now, MSys2 is a Linux-like environment for compiling programs that can run natively in Windows. It's based on an older or a prior Linux-like environment for Windows. Why am I double-clicking icon files? But unlike that one, it does not need you to stay in that environment to run the compiled executables. They can run on their own, so that you can just give them to somebody who doesn't have to have MSys2 installed, and they can run the program that you compiled, which is nice. And Angband is set up to compile with the mingw setup, which is basically a way to run the Linux compiler GCC in Windows. So MSys2 comes with various compiling environments or operating environments. I don't know what they're technically called. They're sort of rainbow colored icons here that you can pick different environments. You do have to make sure you run the right one, or things will not work as you want them to. So specifically, we need to run the mingw64 environment, because that is the 64-bit mingw compiler thingy, and that's what we need. That's what Angband is made to work in. So the first time you run it, it will do this little auto update thing. Let me increase the text size. By the way, I have to thank, as always, the extraordinarily knowledgeable and patient lead programmer for Angband, backwardsEric. Wow! backwardsEric. backwardsEric, whenever I have some silly problem doing something and getting Angband to do what I want it to do, for whatever silly reason, I run to the forum, which is currently at, it just moved, so it's at angband.live/forums now. And I say, help, it's not working. And pretty much 99% of the time, backwardsEric is the one who responds and knows exactly what's wrong, and for some reason does not chastise me for wasting his time. He just says, like, you clicked on the wrong icon. I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry for wasting your time. So thank you, backwardsEric. And the other person who I need to thank, and I just lumped into one single name with backwardsEric, which was weird, is the maintainer, Nick McConnell, also known as Nick, who is also very helpful and patient. So MSys2 has updated itself. Now we can start pulling things down. I'm just going to be copying and pasting from this little write-up I made so I don't make any typos, because I do make typos otherwise. So MSys2 uses a command called pacman, or command pacman2, which stands for pack manager. It's also, of course, a play on the old video game. Pacman is its updater, or its update system to manage packages, because code packages are how you get stuff in MSys2 that you're going to compile or use to compile other stuff or whatever. So we're going to, first of all, S means get stuff. I don't remember exactly. I forget what Y and U do. No confirming. It's not going to ask me if I'm sure that I want it to go ahead. So this is going to update the current packages I have. It does seem kind of weird to me that I guess the installer, like, I kind of should just do this on, well, I guess it saves time not doing it. I don't know. I mean, technically it would work without doing that. So that particular first update, it has to update, I think, probably the exe itself. So it has to quit, and it doesn't rerun itself, which is a little confusing, but you just have to go rerun it. And then we're just going to do another pacman update, except I somehow screwed up my copy and paste. So it needs to finish updating. So that's two of those little babies in between the terminal closing itself so it can update itself. These are all the various packages that are already installed, and they're downloading the latest code. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and grab the package called git, which is what we will use to connect to the GitHub repository for Angband. That's where Angband's source code is. And that's how we'll pull Angband down onto our computer, onto my computer. Why am I speaking in the third person? Or is that second person? And then it'll go ahead and be ready for us to compile. But first, I will have to get additional packages. You will need certain packages that do not come default with MSys2 in order to compile Angband itself. First one we're going to get here is the GCC compiler, specifically for the MinGW 64-bit environment here. Cygwin is the name of the system that MSys2 is based on. I couldn't remember that earlier. I used to use Cygwin itself. It's not as slick an interface as MSys2. I really like how MSys2 just updates itself right through the terminal. Okay, so now we're getting the SDL2 packages, which comes in specifically 4 packages that we'll need. There's 1 or 2 more. SDL2 is a system for displaying graphics and playing sound on a computer. I mean, it works. It's it's system agnostic or whatever. I don't know, but it works pretty good on Windows. And it makes Angband look pretty sweet. It is definitely my preferred front end for Angband. I would like to see it become the default, official front end for Angband. We'll see if it gets that far. Or Windows front end anyway. The current Windows front end is it's a little messy, I guess. Not nearly as attractive. BackwardsEric is actually working on overhauling the SDL2 front end a bit, making it a little more robust. I haven't really looked at it, the changes he's made. I did notice there's little buttons that are now a little more prominent. I kind of liked them when they were a little more laid back and less distracting, but it's okay. It's probably better this way. Okay, so we should have SDL2 now. Basically, we have all of the MSys2 code that I'm speaking in non-first person again. That will be necessary now. I just have to get the Angband project itself. That's going to be using git clone command, and then the URL for the Angband GitHub repository. I don't know what a git file is exactly, but anyway, that'll tell it what files to grab, and it'll just bring them on down. Angband is, it's a text-based program, so it's not a huge download or anything. So that was easy. So Angband is now here, the source code anyway. Gonna go into the project directory that MSys2 made for me when I pulled it down. Go into the source code subdirectory there. And then there's a makefile all set and waiting to be executed. This is a makefile specifically to build the SDL2 front end through MSys2, and you put on the sound equals yes parameter, and it will build the sound enabled version. There is one more step to make once you've actually run the game to turn the sound on, which I will show you. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and compile. So this is taking the C, or is it C++? I don't know, maybe it's just C files, source code files for Angband, and actually compiling them. It will compile them, if successful, into a executable file called angband.exe, which is in a subfolder in the wherever you're running MSys2 from. And we'll go there once this confirms that it has worked. It goes through the files alphabetically, so you can kind of tell where your progress is, except then, of course, you've got like a ton of files under you. And actually, we'll find another burst of files here, which I don't really think I need to compile. I don't use the Borg thing, which is like playing an automated character through the dungeon or something. I don't know. I've never really been inspired to mess with that. But it can't be long now. Okay. Link Angband, that's the last thing it does, and then it pops out the exe. It doesn't say it made an exe, but it was successful. This is this confirmation you get, basically, and that it didn't spawn any errors. If there was an error, there'd be very prominent error messages. So thank goodness that has not happened, and thanks to some little tweaks by backwardsEric and Nick, it has succeeded. So okay, I should be talking about what I'm doing here. So your MSys2 root folder, that's where you run the MinGW64. In this folder, there's a folder called Home. We're going to go in there because that's where it sticks the stuff that you build. So it's under your username. Mine is smbhax. And here are the projects that you have pulled down. Angband, and here's the Angband folder. Here's the exe that was just built. Here's the source code folder. It actually builds it in the source code folder, but then the makefile script copies it into the base Angband folder, which is where you run it. So if you want to run it from the command line, you can do that. You have to back out one directory, so you do cd ... that backs us up to the root Angband folder, and then you would do, so that's an Angband exe, you would do /Angband, don't think you need to type the exe, do you? I shouldn't be trying to wing this. I usually screw things up. Oh, yeah, I am typing the .exe. And then -u player. This tells it to, the U player part tells it to auto load or try to start a character named player. Player is just a sort of generic name that is typically just given as an instruction. You can put whatever name you want. For instance, I'll probably use smbhax as a weird name for my character because that's kind of my user handle. I used to think up individual character names, but you know, who has time? Anyway, I'm not going to run it through the command line. I like running from icons. So you can just double click the Angband exe. It won't have that player name in there though. And that's kind of handy for when you want to continue playing your character. So I'm going to go ahead and create a shortcut. Right click the Angband exe, say create shortcut. Here's my shortcut. You can give this your own icon if you want. In fact, I'm going to do that because I like my silly icon. No, I'm not going to do that because it's one that I found off the internet and I don't technically own it. So anyway, it's a fun one. Just so Angband.exe, and then so in this target field under properties, so let me stop babbling. Right click properties on this shortcut that I made, and here's where you would enter -u player, and I'll just keep it that way so as not to be confusing. No, I can't. I'm gonna personalize it. So that's my name right there. But you can just put whatever you want. Let's make sure that's okay. We're good. Okay, so I can close this now. Do I need this anymore? Now we're good. So exit, closes msys2 terminal, and just double click this baby, and we should be in. We're in. All right, so this is the SDL2 front end. As I was saying, the menu here at the top has new changes from backwardsEric have made it more prominent. It used to potentially make it so it would be like, accidentally make it so it'd be like black on black text on a black background. I mean, then you couldn't see anything. So he's I think made it so that won't happen anymore. This window is tiny. This is the default Angband window size if you're running it in a text terminal. We can make it bigger though. So this size option up here, you click this size thing, and then you can click and drag. So Shazam, and then click the size thing again to get ready there, finish sizing it. So now we're back in. These little, so the main menu is over here. And this controls various UI things. I'm not going to go into those. I'll let you explore those yourselves. Basically, you can have up to 7 sub windows. So you can have individual windows that you can move around and resize that have like your inventory display and all kinds of stuff. Pretty sweet. Anyway, so then you're just playing Angband basically. I'm just going to pop through here. Taking the defaults. Did I? Yeah, my name is smbhax, so it used that name that I punched in the -u on the command line. Okay, so here you are in town. Now, remember we compiled the SDL2 front end with sound. Shouldn't there be sound, you may be saying? Well, it's not going to have sound until you go into the menu and enable sound. So to get the menu, you hit the equal sign on your keyboard. And then we're going to go into the user interface option. So I'm just going to click A on the keyboard because that is the A option there. You can also hit enter since it was highlighted. And then we need the use sound option. So that's B. I'm going to hit B on the keyboard. You can also navigate down with the arrow key. And then you can use the right and left arrows to toggle this. I'm going to hit the enter key, which will also toggle it to yes. And then you notice the menu at the bottom. It has some text or some key options, and it says S to save. So I'm going to hit S to save. It says successfully saved. So I've enabled sound in the Angband menu. Now I'm going to hit escape to back out 3 times. There we are. So now when I go and bump into a wall, there's a little bumping sound. and this village idiot drooled on me, and that made a sort of strange growling sound. And if I happen to hit the village idiot, it makes a weird sound. So anyway, there you are, SDL2. Then you can, so the entrance, we're here in town, which is a semi-safe area. You go into these shops by going into the numbers on the door. You can hit escape to back out. If you need to see a list of commands, you can hit the question mark on your keyboard, and then you can hit A to see available commands. There you go. And escape is always backs out of the menu. If you want to go down to the first level of the dungeon, it is this, what are those called? Carrots? I don't know. That is the down staircase when it's a right pointy thing. And you hit the corresponding key on your keyboard, the right pointy bracket, and confirm, and there you are in the first level of the dungeon. And I just killed a floating eye. Sorry, eye. I was not paying attention, and I killed a fruit bat. I need to get out of here before I kill my own character. Alright, so there you go. That's pretty much it. And then if you want to save and exit, you hit Control X. Saving game done. Press return or escape. Shows your spot on the high score table. smbhax, the human warrior, level 1, killed by nobody yet in the town. And then you hit again and you're out. And then, you might want to put this, you can like pin your shortcut to the taskbar, whatever you want to do. So that's it. Yeah, you have now successfully compiled the SDL2 front end with sound of Angband. Once again, thanks to backwardsEric and Nick for being the ones who are actually carrying the project forward, along with, of course, help from the community. It is an open source project, so if you know how to program or do other useful things, you can certainly do that. You can interface with the community and the development team on the forums, which are hosted by Guarl at angband.live. You can also just play the game online there, so you don't even need to download or compile anything if you want to just play it through your web browser, which is pretty slick. Those servers are, I think, based in the UK, somewhere around there, so it can be there's a slight latency from where I am in Washington State in the United States, but it's not too bad. But I do like the SDL2 front end. The Angband Live uses the just regular text terminal front end, which isn't quite as slick. Yeah, so I like the SDL2 front end. I like the goofy sounds. So that's what I got into using. I'm going to post my little text version of what I just ran through in the description under the video on YouTube, so you can consult that if you want to, if I was not speaking clearly enough, which is quite likely. Oh, right. So if you do want to uninstall, there sometimes has been a little hiccup lately, and it's not with Angband, it's with MSys2. It's something to do with their installer, I think. Let's see. Oh, I should also cover this. So if you do want to recompile Angband with the latest code, if there's a code update, which happens quite frequently because people are still adding stuff and fixing stuff and making Angband cooler, you run your mingw64exe to run MSys2 again, and all you need to do, since you've already got all the packages you need for it, and you've got most of the source code, you've already established the project on your machine, you do usually want to make sure you've got the latest versions of those packages. So you're going to do pacman again, -syu, and you can do the no confirm if you're like me and you get tired of confirming all the time. So no packages updated in the last 10 minutes or so. But usually if you go like 24 hours, there will be some updates. That lets you make sure you're on the latest MSys2 code. Then you go into the Angband folder, cd Angband, and you do git pull, and that will use the git program that we pulled down a package for, and it'll get the latest code from Angband if there's already been new code, but it's only been 15 minutes or so since the last little tweak that they made to ensure that I could do a smooth tutorial here went up. So there's nothing more to get just yet. Anyway, that would make sure that we had the latest code. And then again, you go into the source folder, cd src, that's the source folder, and you would just do the make command that you did before. And since there has been no update, you can go ahead and do it, and it'll just say nothing to be done. So yeah, we're all good. But that's how you would get the latest code again and compile fresh with the latest and greatest code if some time had gone by and you wanted the new stuff that would no doubt have been made by then. So you can also add a B. You can do make-bf. We were just doing make-f. You can do make-bf. That'll force it to rebuild everything, which in theory, you on some projects you need to do that if code gets out of whack and leaves weird old compiled bits around that the compiler gets confused about and starts giving weird errors. I've never actually had that problem with Angband because they're pretty good about keeping stuff tidy, but that's one thing you could do if stuff had gotten messed up somehow. I think you can also probably do make clean like that, which would delete all the little compiled sub files that it makes as it's compiling, which are these .o files. They're the compiled versions of the .c files. You could do that as well, but no need to do that for now, and probably not ever really if future maintenance goes as smoothly as current maintenance does. So yeah, so that would be how you would update if you ever wanted to do so in the future. Now, if you did want to uninstall the whole MSys2 thing, and if you just wanted to uninstall Angband, you would just go into your home folder under the MSys2 root folder, and then your user folder, and then you would just select the Angband folder and hit delete, which, I mean, I can do. Oh my gosh, it's gone. So that would get rid of the Angband project. If you want to delete all of MSys2, since we just use the self-extracting executable and not the downloadable installer, you can just select everything and hit delete. But sometimes there's a problem with this current MSys2 installer. Is it going to work? Yeah, see, this is something to do with their installer or something, or maybe just the way MSys2 is currently running, but it keeps telling me that a file is open in another program. And I mean, it's not. I'm not running any other program that it would be open in. Maybe, I don't think closing Explorer would do it. That would be pretty weird. No. So I did find now what you can do if this is annoying you and you want to delete these folders, as soon as possible, you can just go restart Windows, but if you get tired of doing that, which I did while I was figuring out the steps for doing this, there is a way to delete these obstinate folders that say they're open in another program when they're not open in any other program that you opened. This is a solution that I found on, oh, by the way, a lot of this, the instructions for compiling Angband can be found on the Angband online manual, which can be found from the official Angband site, but here's the direct URL if you wanted to see that. So I've been having this problem. So on an actual Microsoft site, somebody, I think it was just a user who posted this answer. to how to fix this, can't delete a friggin' folder, open in another program nonsense, which really Microsoft should be the ones to fix that whole problem. But I mean, there must be some kind of thing with the MSys2 installer or program itself that is leaving something in memory or spawning some process that is not closing down or something. Something's a little off. So to fix this, according to this user whose instructions I found to work, you open Windows has a utility called Resource Monitor, which I don't think I knew about before this. So you pop open your Windows menu here at the bottom. You just start typing resmon, and there it is. I hit enter. Here's Resource Monitor. And the instructions are a little confusing over there. All I really have to do is go under search handles, type the name of the folder that I'm having trouble deleting stuff from, which is MSys2. And it tells me the programs that are currently involved there. So it's interesting that pacman.exe is here, but I'm not worried about pacman.exe. I'm more worried about this con host. And I looked this up. This is a Windows process for running a console. I don't think we were running the Minty console, as it's called, for MSys2. Minty actually was the console for Cygwin as well. It's a pretty slick console. I don't know if that's what this is related to, because it's not a official Windows console. It's not the Windows command line console. But anyway, this is proven to be the one that is the culprit. So right click, hit end process. Do I want to end conhost.exe? I sure do. And it doesn't actually remove it from the list when you do that, but it's done. We killed it. So you can close Resource Monitor and now go ahead and hit delete. And they're gone. Bam. So that's a little cleanup of MSys2's slightly messy. I don't know. I mean, I got that when I was trying this with the installer version of MSys2 as well. So I don't know what's up, but in case you ever want to uninstall the whole thing, that's all you got to do. And it's pretty easy to reinstall. You just do what I ran through here from the beginning. So yeah. I can delete this part because this has been fixed. Okay, so I will have these directions written up under the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I hope that made it possible for you to compile the MSys2 compiled SDL2 front end of Angband 2, or Angband with sound. Because that's, I think, the coolest way to play Angband. And that's all I got. So thanks for watching. See you later.